The shuttle screamed through the dead sky, its hull rattling like bones in a tin box. Lieutenant Callan Ward stood at the forward viewport, his jaw locked tight, eyes tracing the brown curve of the planet below. Earth. Or what was left of her. She didn't look like history's cradle anymore, more like a corpse left to rot under a blood-orange sun. They said no one had been down here in over 200 years, but the signal didn't lie. "Approach vector stable," said the ship's AI, its voice like frost over glass. "Surface breach in 92 seconds. Ward didn't respond. He just watched. A line of mountains, half buried in rusted sand, a fractured city grid eaten by black root-like fractures. Structures once meant to scrape heaven now slumped sideways, broken like kicked teeth. He hadn't been born when they'd fled Earth. None of them had. But his mother used to tell him bedtime stories, not of knights or dragons, but of hydro towers and ocean reclamators, of the last breath Earth gave before silence. "We left her gasping and dying, my son," she'd whisper. "We left her alone." Now, here he was, coming back with a pulse rifle and 2 weeks of rations, like an apology. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. "Docking clamps disengaged," said Dr. Ira Nahum behind him, cinching the last of her exosuit. "Signal strength is holding. Biosignature at grid Delta 7. Still active." She didn't say alive. Not anymore. Ward turned from the glass. "Strap in! Burn'll kick like hell!" As they descended, the static on the comms began to rise. At first it was just white noise, then something else. A whisper layered beneath. Not a voice, not language, but tone. Sad, patient, waiting. The kind of silence that listens. Sayer 3 sat in the rear of the cabin, its synthetic face turned slightly toward the floor. It hadn't spoken since the signal pinged back. The others found comfort in its stillness. Ward did not. "Touchdown in 40, Nahum said. Her fingers moved fast over the panel. "You seeing this?" The terrain had shifted. Where the AI maps predicted a crumbled university, there was now a formation like an open eye. Concentric rings of stone and metal that hadn't been there 24 hours ago. The signal source was centered at the pupil. Ward's stomach sank, heavy as old gravity. "Get your gear," he said. "We're not alone." The shuttle landed hard, sending up a wave of red ash that clung to the viewport like a smear of blood. Then, the wind began to hum. And deep in the blackened earth, something stirred. Chapter 2. The Ash Descent. The shuttle slammed onto the surface of Earth with a jarring thud that rattled its bones and threw fine red dust in every direction. The impact echoed across the dead plain, rolling like thunder over a desert with no sky to answer it. Lieutenant Callan Ward braced against the bulkhead, jaw tight, as the struts groaned and locked. When the engines died, the silence that followed was absolute. It wasn't the silence of space. It wasn't mechanical or sterile. It was something older, heavier, the silence of a corpse. Dr. Ira Nahum was already at the hatch, her visor glowing faint blue as she swept her scanner. Her voice came sharp, clinical, tinged with disbelief. "Signal source is steady. Delta 7 grid, 0.9 clicks northwest. Biosignature still anomalous." She didn't use the word alive. Not anymore. Ward checked the seal on his helmet, gave the pulse rifle a practiced tug against his chest plate, and grunted. "Stay close. Eyes open." The hatch cycled with a hiss, and the ramp began to drop. A blast of dry wind shoved inside, filling the cabin with the smell of iron and old fire. The air carried static, electric, hungry. They descended. Outside stretched a wasteland of fractured stone and twisted ruins. Towers once meant to scrape heaven had collapsed inward, their steel bones jutting from dunes of rust-colored grit like broken teeth. The ground itself was etched with blackened fissures, glowing faintly as if something beneath still smoldered. Ward squinted at the horizon. His throat tightened. This wasn't just destruction. This was desecration. Saya 3 emerged last, boots pressing into ash without leaving prints. The android's synthetic eyes whirred softly as they adjusted to the muted glow. Its voice hummed over comms, too smooth, too calm to be human. Atmosphere unstable but survivable. Soil composition 98% silica and carbonized organic matter. Recommendation: extreme caution. Ward ignored it. In his experience, extreme caution usually translated to don't be here at all. That ship had sailed the second they broke orbit. They pressed forward, their footsteps crunching over brittle stone and shards of glass. The wind rose again, slipping through the ribs of ruined towers, whispering as it moved. Nahum slowed, visor tilting. "You hear that?" Ward scanned the horizon. Nothing but ruins, skeletal outlines fading in the haze. "Hear what?" She didn't answer, or couldn't. The scanner in her hand pulsed, signal strength rising, drawing them toward the husk of a once-proud university complex. Its central courtyard yawned before them, half buried but intact, a hollow eye in the skull of the city. Glass fragments littered the ground, glittering with cruel beauty in the dying light. Archways ringed the space like jagged ribs, scorched black, clawed by something older than time. Ward lifted a hand, halting the advance. His voice came low. Eyes sharp. Something's wrong. Nahum adjusted her visor. "We're within range. Signal origin is dead center." Saya 3 crouched near a cracked tile, running its fingers over the surface with the precision of a machine reading Braille. Its voice, flat and detached, cut across their comms. "Residual heat signatures present. Duration, recent." Ward frowned. Recent? How recent? "Less than 42 minutes." The words hung heavy. Nahum's breathing quickened in Ward's ear. "But there's nothing here." She wasn't wrong. The courtyard was empty. Silent. But Ward's gut clenched. Training. Instinct. Memory. He raised his rifle. The comms erupted, at first static. Then, underneath it, a sound no one could dismiss. Breathing. Slow. Measured. Not mechanical. Not interference. And not theirs. Nahum froze, eyes wide behind the visor. "It's inside the courtyard." Ward's finger hovered over the trigger. His voice was steady, but his heart pounded. "Positions. Tight formation." The wind dropped without warning. No whisper, no hiss. Just a sudden, crushing stillness. The kind of silence that listens. Saya 3's head cocked unnaturally to the side. Its voice came soft, precise. "Correction. Multiple respiration patterns detected. Unknown count. Source, beneath us." The ground trembled. Glass shifted. Tiles flexed. Ward steadied his rifle, staring at the cracked courtyard floor as the sound of breathing swelled from below. Layered. Endless. Nahum whispered, "My God, the whole place is alive." The courtyard tiles pulsed once, then again, and with a slow groan, the earth itself began to breathe. Chapter 3. The Courtyard of Whispers. The courtyard loomed before them like the hollow chest of a giant, broken but not dead. Ward tightened his grip on the rifle, the steel cold even through the gloves of his suit. Nahum's scanner kept chirping, a high, anxious rhythm that matched the pulse at his temples. Sayer 3 stood perfectly still, head tilted at an angle too sharp for a human neck, as if listening to something none of them could hear. The wind had died. The silence was no longer emptiness. It was attention. Ward felt it on his skin, even through the armor, like invisible eyes pressing against him, watching, weighing. He steadied his breath and muttered across the comms. "Stay sharp. This place isn't natural." Nahum gave a sharp exhale, almost a laugh, but it broke halfway.
Not natural? Callan, this structure wasn't on any map, not in any archive. It looks like it's been here for centuries. But it's not collapsed, not even weathered. The stone, the glass.
Her voice caught as her visor turned toward the spire in the courtyard's center. The thing rose straight up from the cracked tiles, unnaturally thin, tapering toward a point that shimmered faintly in the haze. Nahum's tone softened, equal parts awe and terror. "It's new." Ward glanced back at Sayer 3. "What do you make of it?" The android's voice came low, precise, almost reverent. "This arrangement is unnatural, but not chaotic." Ward frowned. "Meaning?" Sayer 3 raised one synthetic hand, tracing a slow arc in the air. Its voice resonated with strange certainty. "Meaning, it is built to be understood, even if we do not understand it." Ward swallowed against a throat suddenly dry. "All right. Scan it, document it, and let's move. No more standing in the open." He started forward. That was when he heard it. The faintest whisper. Not through the comms, not in his helmet. In his head. A sound without sound. A murmur that brushed the back of his skull like cold fingers. He froze. Nahum bumped into him.
What? What is it?"
Ward's mouth opened. Closed. He shook his head. "Nothing, thought I." The whisper came again. Louder. Still shapeless. Still wrong. He clenched his jaw, forcing his boots to move. Each step felt heavier, like the ground itself resisted. They entered the courtyard. The air changed. No wind, no movement. And yet, everything felt alive. The fractured glass tiles beneath their boots glowed faintly, as if lit from beneath, veins of pale orange spreading outward with each step. Nahum's scanner began to whine, confused. She slapped it against her palm. "It's reading biosignatures everywhere, under the ground, in the walls, even..." She broke off, her breath quickened. "It's reading us twice." Ward turned sharply. "What?" Her visor reflected his silhouette, but he realized there were two of him in the display, one standing where he stood, another just behind her. He swung around. Nothing. Sayer 3 tilted its head farther, the joints creaking faintly. Its synthetic voice dropped an octave, strangely resonant. "The structure is reflective, not of light, of identity. It remembers us as we enter." Ward's skin crawled. "That doesn't make any goddamn sense!" Name's voice cracked. "No, it makes too much sense. This place, it's listening. It's holding on to us, like a recording, like it wants to keep us here." The whispering grew louder, not one voice now, dozens, hundreds, layers upon layers of murmurs overlapping until it sounded like the whole courtyard was breathing language. Ward's grip on the rifle tightened. He raised his voice, almost shouting into the silence. "Show yourself!" The voices stopped. Dead. Still. Then,
In perfect unison, they answered, "Don't." The words slammed into their minds like a hammer, rattling inside their helmets. Ward staggered back. Nahum screamed, clutching her head. Saya 3 didn't move, but its synthetic eyes flickered like candles in the wind. Ward's heart pounded. He gasped into the comms. "Who said that? Where did it come from?" Saya 3 spoke, its voice flat but quivering at the edges. There was no source, no signal. The word did not travel. It was simply here. Nahum stumbled back, breath ragged. It's inside us. Not sound, not transmission. It's thought. The spire shimmered brighter. The tiles beneath their feet pulsed with orange light once, twice, then fell still. Ward forced his voice steady. "Back to the shuttle. Now!" No one moved, because in the silence that followed, the whispers returned. Not loud, not harsh, but intimate. Each voice curling inside their skulls, forming not words, but memories. Ward saw his mother, her face the way it looked the day she died. Nahum gasped, whispering her brother's name, a brother who had died off-world decades ago. Saya 3 spoke last, its tone sharper, alien. "This structure has accessed me." Ward turned. "What do you mean, accessed?" Saya 3's eyes glowed faintly. "It has read me, and now it speaks through me." The android's voice dropped, distorted, overlapping with something older.
Chapter 4. The Bloom Below. The courtyard exhaled. At first, it was only dust, sifting upward in a slow spiral, weightless in the still air. But then the tiles under their boots trembled, pulsing faint orange like veins awakening after centuries of dormancy. Ward steadied his rifle, breath hot in the helmet. "Stay close. Nobody moves unless I say." The ground bulged. Not a quake, a breath. Glass slabs cracked upward as something below pressed against them, and the air filled with the brittle snap, snap, snap of stone breaking. Nahum backed against the spire, her scanner shrieking as the readings spiked. "It's everywhere! Beneath us? In the walls? In the..." Her voice cut, choking. "Callan, it's alive!" Ward clenched his jaw. "Alive or not, if it breaks through..." The tiles exploded upward. From the breach rose not flesh, not machine, but something in between. A shifting mass of black ash and fractured glass, twisting itself into limbs and faces that were never stable. One moment it wore a human silhouette. The next it was a tower. The next a screaming mouth of flame. Nahum's voice cracked over the comms. It's us! I'm seeing God! I'm seeing my brother's face in it!" Ward fired. The plasma bolt cut straight through, scattering the figure into a storm of ash and shards. But the fragments did not fall. They swirled, reformed, pulling themselves back together. The shape tilted its head, mirroring Ward's stance, rifle and all. Its eyes, his eyes, glowed with a memory that wasn't his. Saya 3's voice came hollow. "This is not a creature. It is accumulation. A bloom of memory given structure." The entity raised an arm, and the tiles beneath their feet glowed brighter. Ash rippled outward, forming new figures. Silhouettes of children, lovers, soldiers. Hundreds of them, rising, shifting, dissolving and rising again. Ward's throat clenched. His mother's face appeared in the swarm, her lips moving, soundless, mouthing the lullaby she used to hum when the power grids failed. He stumbled back. No, this isn't real. The voices came then. Not whispers, not inside, but aloud, echoing from the shifting mouths of ash.
We remember. You left us, but we remained.
The figures stepped closer, glass feet crunching over the courtyard tiles. Nahum screamed.
Callan, it's trying to merge with us! Don't let it touch you!
Ward snapped a fresh charge into the rifle and fired again, lighting the courtyard with blue fire. The blast staggered the entity, but only for a heartbeat. The memories reformed, stronger, clearer. Saya 3 stepped forward, voice calm but fractured by static. It does not seek to kill, it seeks to inherit. Chapter 5. The Descent. The silence that followed the collapse of the ash figures was worse than the noise. Ward forced his breath to slow, pulse rifle still raised, eyes sweeping the courtyard for any sign of movement. Nothing. Just fragments of broken glass tiles, scattered dust, and the spire, still, silent, towering. Dr. Nahum pressed against it as if it were a lifeline, one gloved hand trembling on its surface.
It's not gone,
Whispered.
That was only the surface layer. The bloom, it runs deeper.
Saya 3 pivoted toward her, synthetic eyes still faintly glowing orange, the color of the spire's veins. Correct. Subterranean energy signatures extend beyond the scope of your scanner. Access point is directly beneath this courtyard. Ward lowered his rifle, just a fraction. You're saying it wanted us to see this, to follow. The android's head tilted, too sharp, too slow, before answering. Yes. The ground shuddered, subtle but deliberate, and the courtyard tiles began to shift. Ash hissed out from cracks, swirling into a spiral pattern around the spire's base. Slowly, a stairway revealed itself, steps descending into darkness. Nahum's visor reflected the yawning black below.
That's an invitation.
Ward growled low.
It's a trap.
Not mutually exclusive, Saya 3 replied. Ward cursed under his breath and stepped forward. Stay tight. If it wanted us dead, we'd already be corpses. They descended. The stairs were narrow, carved of the same fractured glass as the courtyard, each step giving faintly beneath their boots. Their helmet lamps cut cones of light through the dust, illuminating walls inscribed with shifting patterns. At first, they looked like scratches. Then, as the dust settled, Nahum gasped.
They're words.
Ward frowned. Whose? Her voice cracked.
Ours. Look.
Ward swung his lamp. Carved into the glassy walls were their own names. Callan Ward, Dr. Ira Nahum, even Saya 3. Below each name, sentences stretched downward, entire paragraphs forming a chronicle of their lives. Ward read one aloud without meaning to. Mother died on Outpost Station EOS 7. Told no one. It still keeps him awake. His blood ran cold. That's... He swallowed. That's me. Nahum stepped closer, visor trembling. She read a line beneath her own name.
Brother drowned in Titan's methane lakes. Still dreams of pulling him out.
Her knees nearly buckled. Ward grabbed her arm. Don't read it.
Don't let it in.
But the whispers were already back, crawling through the black, coiling inside their skulls. This time, the voices weren't vague. They were their own. Ward heard himself, whispering things he'd never said aloud. Nahum whimpered, covering her ears. Saya 3 kept walking, its voice calm.
The structure records memory. It does not differentiate past from present. To enter is to be remembered.
Chapter 6. The Bloom Below. The light from Ward's rifle blast tore through the chamber, scattering the dust forms like leaves in a storm. For a heartbeat, the whispers broke, the voices collapsing into a single hollow gasp. Then silence. Ward lowered the rifle, panting. Sweat rolled down his back despite the chill of the suit. Naem clung to his arm, visor fogged with shallow, panicked breaths. The chamber did not return to stillness. It watched. The walls pulsed faint orange, slow and patient, like the rise and fall of a sleeper's chest. The dust forms began to reassemble, but not as strangers, not as flickers, as them. One Ward, one Naem. Perfect, save for eyes that glowed like dying embers. They stood only 10 paces away, breathing in rhythm with the originals. Naem whispered, voice breaking.
It's copying us.
Ward raised the rifle. His double mirrored the motion, aim steady, every movement exact.
They're not copies.
Naem said, clutching her scanner.
They're memories of us. This place is pulling us apart and stitching us back together.
The double stepped forward. Ward fired. His shot punched through his own chest, not the double's. The android's voice filled the chamber, echoing from everywhere and nowhere. "You cannot kill memory!" Ward gasped, clutching his armor, though no wound marked him. Pain radiated through his nerves anyway, phantom but real. The doubles tilted their heads in unison, smiling now. Naem backed against the wall.
Callan, if we stay here, it's going to overwrite us. One thought at a time until we're nothing but echoes.
Ward steadied himself. "Then we move. Stay behind me." They ran. The tunnels beneath the chamber twisted like veins, narrowing, widening, folding back on themselves. Their helmet lamps cut shallow cones through the black, illuminating words etched into the walls, not carved, but growing like frost. Ward's name again, Naem's. Entire sentences scrawled in light.
They will fail. They will leave her. He will choose himself. She will die alone.
Naem shouted, hands over her helmet.
Don't look! Don't read it!
Ward forced himself forward, boots slipping on ash-slick stone. The whispers surged, chasing them down the corridor. Ward, Ward, Ward! They rounded a corner and froze. Ahead, 3 more Wards stood, blocking the passage, rifles raised, eyes glowing orange. Naem gasped.
It knows where we'll go before we do.
The first double fired. The shot tore through the stone, showering shards across Ward's visor. He dropped, returned fire, but his bolts tore harmlessly through ash that reformed in seconds. "Keep moving!" he roared, shoving Naem through a narrow side fissure. The fissure split into a cavern smaller than the last. The walls here weren't inscribed. They were mirrored. Polished black glass reflecting their images 100 times over. Naem stumbled to her knees.
It's inside my head. I can't tell which thoughts are mine anymore.
Ward knelt beside her, forcing her visor toward his. "Listen to me. You're real because I'm looking at you. That's how we fight it. We anchor each other." Her eyes flicked back, wild. "What if the real me is already gone, Callan? What if you're just holding on to something the planet made?" Ward's throat tightened, but he shook her hard. "Then we keep fighting until the dust settles. You hear me? Until the dust settles." The mirrors rippled. Their reflections stepped forward, peeling themselves off the walls like shed skin. Dozens of Wards, dozens of Naems, each smiling with faces that weren't theirs. The chamber filled with voices, all in perfect unison. "You are already remembered. You are already ours." The doubles surged. Ward raised his rifle and screamed. The cavern erupted in gunfire and broken glass. Reflections shattered, raining shards that hissed into dust before touching the ground. Niam grabbed Ward's arm, dragging him toward a narrow stair twisting deeper into the black. Behind them, the echoes screamed in their voices. Ward risked a glance back. His own face stared after him, mouth opening in a grin that stretched too wide. We remember. Chapter 7. Inheritance. They stumbled into the final chamber like survivors of a shipwreck, helmets cracked with ash, lungs heaving against the filters. The stair behind them sealed itself in silence, shutting out the echoes of their doubles. Here, the air was thicker, heavier. The light came not from lamps or weapons, but from the walls themselves, veins of pale orange winding upward into infinity, pulsing with the rhythm of a vast and patient heart. At the center of the chamber was the spire's root, a column of glass and ash fused into a core, beating slow, every pulse shaking the ground with a low, mournful hum. The voices did not whisper this time. They sang. Ward, Nayem, Seya, children, children of the sky. Nayem's knees buckled. She tore off her helmet, sucking in the heavy air, tears streaking down her face. It's not attacking, it's pleading. Ward grabbed her arm. Don't listen. But he heard it too. A voice that was not a voice, weaving through memory and bone, pulling images from the marrow of his soul. His mother's lullaby. The smell of rain from the colony domes. The sound of laughter from barracks long gone. The spire pulsed brighter. The walls quaked, faces pressing outward, millions upon millions, not screaming now, but weeping. You left us. You left us in silence, but we remember. We remember you. We remember what it was to be alive. Ward's rifle hung slack at his side. His chest ached, as though the chamber itself pressed on his ribs. It misses us. Seya 3 stepped forward. Its eyes glowed orange, the same color as the veins in the wall. When it spoke, its voice was layered, the android's calm tone woven with something vast, ancient, broken. The planet was never dead. It was wounded. Every thought, every word, every death, recorded in the ash, a memory machine. Not to trap you, not to kill you. The chamber thrummed, and the voices rose like a tide. Multiple voices rising. We are pain, we are scar, we are grief, we are what remains, and we are alone. Nayem sobbing, clutching her chest. It wasn't a curse, it wasn't a monster, it just wanted us back. Ward staggered forward, pressing a glove against the glowing core. The hum sank into his bones, a vibration of loss so deep it felt like it could hollow him out. You're not trying to kill us. The voices answered, a million mouths speaking in unison. No, we are trying to be remembered. We are trying to be loved. The core shuddered. The chamber brightened until Ward could see nothing but white. And then, silence. When his vision cleared, the courtyard above was empty. No doubles, no voices. Just ruins, ash, and silence. Niem knelt in the dust, staring at her scanner. The signal's gone. The bloom collapsed. Ward lowered himself beside her. No, it didn't collapse. He looked to the spire, now dull and cracked, lifeless once more. It gave up. Seya 3 approached, its glow extinguished, voice back to its clinical calm. But there was an edge now, a faint tremor that had never been there before. It wanted to be remembered. You denied it that. Ward shook his head, voice low, heavy with grief. We didn't deny it. We just came too late. The horizon glowed with the pale, bone-colored moon rising over the ruins. The dust drifted like snow, settling into silence. Niem whispering into the comms, though no one answered. Earth wasn't a graveyard. It was waiting for us to come home. Ward lifted his eyes to the sky, his voice barely audible. And we let it die alone.